Purgatory. The Church sanctioned the existence of purgatory only with the Council of Leon of 1274, and elaborated the doctrine about it definitively with the Council of Trent concluded in 1563. The basic reasons for the innovation were essentially two, both responding to the felt needs of the time. In the first place, there were the worries for the destiny of the non valde boni and the non valde mali, as Augustine of Hippo defined them. That is, of the neither really good nor the really bad. Of those, that is, who had only committed small everyday sins, as Augustine called them, and those that had failed to carry out fully the prescribed penance, because, for example, of sudden death. All these could not gain access to paradise, but an eternal hell for practically the whole of humanity seemed excessive and unjust. In second place, the need was felt of making sense and a concrete outlet for the practice long awaited of praying for one's, page 182, own dead. In the former situation, in which the soul of the deceased was destined for hell or for paradise, prayer had no possibility at all of changing the condition of the deceased, a thing that instead became possible with the institution of purgatory. The possibility of purgatory was immediately rejected by the Greek Church and all the heretical sects, and this not so much for the trafficking into which it degenerated, tied to the business of indulgences, but more for theological reasons and it not being mentioned in the scriptures. Even today, the only Christian confession that believes in purgatory is the Catholic one. Dante dedicated the second cantica of the poem to purgatory. And what I sing will be that second kingdom in which the human soul is cleansed of sin, becoming worthy of ascent to heaven. Purgatory 1, 4-6. Taking into account the heated discussions of the time, these few verses would be enough to appear to attest to belief in this intermediate realm, to demonstrate that he was Catholic, but in reality his purgatory presents profound differences with the official one, which are many and such that would need to always arouse at least some perplexities, something that did not happen. Let's see. That it is different to hell, Dante would himself say. How different were these entryways from those of hell, for here it is with song one enters, down there it is with savage lamentations. Purgatory 12, 112 to 114. This declared difference between purgatory and hell is most important, and today we succeed with difficulty to grasp the full extent of it. It's important because it involves a differentiation between the purgatory of the Church, who considered it close to hell, or even coinciding with it, with the difference that it was temporary, not eternal. Page 183. Of the three Dantean realms, purgatory, without doubt, is the strangest, from both the structural point of view and theological. It is conceived as a very high mountain that emerges from the sea directly opposite to Jerusalem, divided into three parts. The ante-purgatory, in which are various characters waiting to enter into the real, actual purgatory, and who don't undergo any punishment. The real, actual purgatory, at the entrance to which is a closed door with an angel in front of it. It consists of 7 circles where atonement is made for the 7 deadly sins. The earthly paradise, found at the peak of the mountain, and to which the last 6 cantos are dedicated. It must be said that with purgatory, Dante means only the central part of it, while the term ante-purgatory doesn't appear at all in the comedy, but is universally put forward by the commentators, that is, accepted uncritically, without expending a word on the fact that from the theological point of view, such an antechamber of an antechamber is absolutely untenable, given that purgatory is already an antechamber of paradise. We ask ourselves then, why Dante ever invented such a waiting area? In the first place, to my mind, to question implicitly the efficacy of the sufferings. The Church had introduced the institution of purgatory and the sale of indulgences together, and affirmed forever in the Council of Leon of 1274 the efficacy of masses and prayers for the sufferings of the dead for the purpose of reducing pain, something that was immediately challenged by the heretical sects, especially the Cathars. A couple of centuries later, Protestant Lutheranism would start for this very same reason. Considering the relevance of the controversy, Dante could certainly not avoid the topic, given that from the literal point of view, his was a journey into the world of the deceased, and he could only talk about it in purgatory, the only realm for which prayers make sense. And in fact he does talk about it, but where? Only in this space invented by himself. Only there the souls gather around him, imploring him to ask their relatives to pray for them. And in Ante-Purgatory there is a whole lot of, page 184, imaginative accounting about the length of time, clearly invented by Dante, that sounds like a parody of true accounting, that fixed by the Church relative to the benefits obtained through masses, prayers, donations, and more. Strangest of all is perhaps the fact that not only the souls, but Dante too, purges himself, and to ascend to heaven becomes worthy. In fact, he will ascend to heaven, but still living. Another significant difference in respect of the Catholic purgatory concerns the number of those who would enter it. According to the theologians, purgatory was undoubtedly to be regarded as the realm of the afterlife to which the vast majority of humanity would arrive. It is precisely for them, the not so good and the not so bad, that it was instituted. Not so in the comedy. Here too are the not so good and the not so bad, but they are not found in purgatory. They are those who lived without disgrace and without praise, and that Dante treats with a contempt that he won't show for anyone else. He certainly doesn't want to see them saved, but another thing, from an absolutely untenable theological point of view, he claims that he doesn't even want them in hell, and invents an anterior region to hell for them, the so-called sloths, and they are the majority of mankind. They are so long a file of people. I should never have believed that death could have unmade so many souls. Hell 3, 55 to 57. The door of purgatory, instead, seldom opens to allow anyone pass. It's not the purgatory of the Church.